Just when you thought you could turn your back and walk away, the dark cloud of human indignity follows you. You have no choice but to turn and look it in the eye. It's the sex offender hit list.
Welcome to the hit list. You can't escape. Your face on the news. Don't mess with fate. Locked up in prison, wood chipper running hot. Police on a mission. Hope you don't get caught. Silver bracelets tight. Get arrested tonight. In this endless fight, can't hide from the light. Lies and deception, caught in the storm. Future in question, nowhere left to run. Silver bracelets tight, get arrested tonight. In this endless fight, can't hide from the light. The choices you made, heading one way. No turning back, this price to pay. Oh! Lies and deception, caught in the storm. Future in question, nowhere left to run. Silver bracelets tight, get arrested tonight. In this endless fight, can't hide from the light. The choices you made, heading one way. No turning back, this price to pay. Oh yeah, no, no, yeah, yeah, yeah. The choices you made, heading one way. No turning back, this price to pay. Oh! Whoa, yeah! Yeah, yeah, yeah!
Say, excuse me, Judge. How many times do I need to show these videos until people become aware?
multiple, 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 multiple times.
One for a rainbow, one for Amanda.
Who you playing with, sweetie?
Amanda.
Oh, who are you?
I'm Amanda. I'm 6, and I love unicorns.
Sexual predators are seeking kids online.
We don't know Amanda.
Learn how to report abuse at end-violence.org/protect.
Now get in there!
Airman is behind bars after a federal court-martial. Senior Airman Randall Moore faced a week-long court-martial of sexual child abuse and multiple charges of child pornography. Moore was found guilty on all counts. The military judge has sentenced Moore to 40 months confinement in a military facility, a dishonorable discharge, a reduction of rank to Airman Basic, the lowest enlisted rank, and total forfeiture of all pay.
Major ruling from our state Supreme Court today, which could mean tougher prison sentences for pedophiles convicted of luring children online, even if the child turns out to be an undercover officer.
This is the ruling that has to do with undercover stings, closing a major loophole in going after those child predators. And Alexis Dominguez is live. This is a win for law enforcement and social workers, Alexis.
Yeah, that's right. As you mentioned, the justices at our Arizona Supreme Court deciding today that people who are trying to exploit children online and trying to get sex from them should not get lighter sentences just because an officer was able to intervene and keep a real child safe.
If we treat them differently, if it's a virtual victim than an actual victim, it tells them that they can take that risk.
Friday, the Arizona Supreme Court ruled that risk should carry the same serious consequences. Dominique Gross-Sepowitz, a social worker focusing on abuse and trauma, says that's how it should be.
They're acting in ways that are unlawful. They're committing crimes, believing that that person is an actual victim, and they're actively seeking to purchase sex from that young person.
This case focuses on Hanis Mohammed Hanifa, who investigators say believed he was talking online with a child under 15 years old, but was actually chatting with an undercover police officer. Lower courts ruled that prosecutors could not apply enhanced sentences because there was no real child. The Arizona Supreme Court disagreed.
I think that this was a tool that was used by defense attorneys often to say no one was hurt, there is no actual victim, and I think we learned today that that is no longer a loophole available.
In its decision, the court said lawmakers intended to punish people who plan to harm children, even if police intervene before anyone gets hurt. Gross-Sepowitz says undercover stings are often the only safe way to stop predators before they reach a real child.
We cannot put children in a position where they would interact with a predator. We have to use trained, very talented law enforcement as that lure. That is so we have no risk for children.
The Supreme Court sent this case back to the trial court, and supporters say that this will now give the green light for prosecutors to try to get some heavier, lengthier sentences for these perpetrators, saying that this will help toughen these kinds of penalties for any kind of undercover sex stings moving forward in our state. Reporting live here in Phoenix, Alexis Dominguez for Arizona's Family.
Mr. James, I need to speak with you, brother. All right. So, I think you already know. We monitor online activity between minors and adults and came across some messages that our servers picked up, and we're here to talk to you about it. As I'm talking to your place, stop being slave. This is only if you want, because you said only if you want, correct? So that is you. All right. And then the next message says, I'm asking questions and you're not answering them, and it says yes. And then you say yes. My place, I have toys, so we can touch, kiss, and sex. We can touch, kiss, and some condoms, if and only if you want. He said, I wouldn't do anything I don't want to do, is what he told you, right? You remember that?
Right.
Okay. All right. And then you said, good night, I won't forget about you on September 20th. Right? This is that's you, Tony.
Oh, you just wish him good dreams.
Yeah. So you remember that. Hey,
I got a little dog here.
He said, I'm trying to talk about a plan for tomorrow. You said, okay, because this is you, remember? That sounds hot. I'm open, down. What time? I'm good for a time, afternoon. Can we meet and go to my place or meet here?
Really? Just fun, superficial.
Right. Like make-believe, you're saying?
No, superficial. Not getting into a deep subject of hardcore.
Put his phone aside and don't touch it for now until we've done with the investigation. He tells me he went out on a drive today, but he didn't say about meeting up with anybody today.
Yeah. You said
he went out today on a drive, and he didn't mention about meeting up. I didn't want to obviously say anything incriminating, that didn't incriminate him. So I'm like, hey, kind of, why am I here today? That's what I asked him. And he's like, well, I went on a drive today, and then I believe I was set up by these guys right here.
Yeah.
Good?
That's crazy. Yeah, buddy. That's Antonio Perez, 45 years old. Messaging to a bunch of minors, sent his penis and everything.
A Boulder man suspected of using photos of children to generate AI images that sexually exploit them was arrested on Friday. The investigation began after the online platform PixArt notified the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children when it flagged an account with explicit content on their site. An investigation and court orders to search several electronic devices led the Boulder County Digital Forensics Lab to believe that 72-year-old Daniel Fairchild was creating those images. Daniel Fairchild was one of the first full investigations by the Boulder County Digital Forensics Lab. It involved the use of generating AI to create this kind of material. Investigators said that Fairchild was using photos of real kids and using the AI to create them nude and in sexually exploitive positions, shall we say. On January 15th, a search warrant was issued for Fairchild's home in the 300 block of South 39th Street. After investigating devices found during the search, an arrest warrant was issued. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office said Fairchild turned himself in to the Boulder County Jail, where he's currently being held on a $50,000 cash surety bond. He's facing charges of 11 counts of producing sexually exploitive material of a child, 11 counts of possessing images of sexual exploitation of a child, and a sentence enhancer of an extraordinary risk crime involving someone under the age of 12. See ya, Chomo.
TV9's Jackson Valenti joins us live with how a relatively new Iowa law is opening the door for law enforcement to pursue these crimes. Jackson?
Beth, a Manchester police officer posed as a 15-year-old boy online. 140 people reached out to him, including those 5 men. And tonight, police say they arrested a 6th person by using that law.
We felt it should have been criminal, but there's no statute to back it up.
Manchester Police Chief Ben Davis has seen it happen again and again. Grooming. The problem, he couldn't charge it as a crime.
It was kind of that back end, not charged. We're just using it to help facilitate the story.
In July 2024, that changed. Iowa enacted a new law that makes grooming a felony. That includes online grooming where predators target vulnerable children for sexual abuse.
Grooming's been happening forever, but now we actually have a criminal code that benefits us to actually get a little bit more justice for these victims.
Manchester police arrested 5 people earlier this month in its operation. Police say all those men traveled to Manchester with the intent to meet someone they thought was 15. In the last week, police arrested a 6th person from another state.
That individual did not travel down here, but we believe that the content of those messages and the vulgarity of them, right, we felt like that was definitely grooming.
Davis says without Iowa's child grooming law, that 6th person could not have been arrested. Before, a predator could theoretically plan a meetup with a child and send sexually explicit texts, but police couldn't charge them unless they committed a separate crime.
We now have the code that we can look at that, have a genuine discussion with our prosecuting attorney, and say, this is wrong and we can now actually do something about it.
That doesn't necessarily mean Manchester police will pursue charges for all 140 people who sent explicit messages to undercover officers. But Davis said to expect more charges and arrests in the coming weeks.
A Norfolk man has been charged in connection with sexually exploiting a 2-year-old child. Charging documents state that in June of 2025, 36-year-old Ethan Irving reportedly uploaded 3 files of child sexual abuse material on the online messaging platform Kik. Irving was arrested in July last year, but in December, newly discovered images allegedly depicted him sexually abusing a 2-year-old girl that he knew. He was arrested again Thursday and charged with 1 count of sexual exploitation of children. He faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in prison and up to a lifetime of supervised release.
A DeKalb County judge sentences a former Elgin police officer to 12 years in prison for having hours of child sexual abuse materials.
According to the Daily Chronicle, 36-year-old Jordan Collins of Kirkland must register as a sex offender. He originally faced up to 3 decades in prison for several charges. Police searched Collins' home and found several guns, ammunition, ready-to-eat survivalist meals, and a computer with the illegal videos. Collins was placed on leave after his arrest, and he resigned from his role. He must serve half of his sentence, and he's already served 115 days in DeKalb County Jail.
Also new today, the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office is asking for victims to reach out after they arrested a man on multiple rape charges. This man, 24-year-old Jacob Kosser, is also accused of strangulation, assault, menacing, and more. Detectives believe he met a victim through dating app Tinder and may have also used the app Pure. He's being held on a $500,000 bail. The sheriff's office is releasing his photo in the hopes that other victims will recognize him and reach out.
Jonathan Saburn, a 44-year-old active duty United States Navy commander, was arrested this week on multiple child sex crime charges. Saburn also served as the deputy director of Naval Academy Salem. The St. Johns County Sheriff's Office led that arrest with assistance from the Navy Criminal Investigative Service, as well as the United States Marshals. Saburn was taken into custody while on duty at the Naval Station in Mayport. Investigation began in July of 25 after a victim came forward to report incidents of abuse that happened years earlier. Authorities say the months-long inquiry uncovered evidence that Saburn engaged in inappropriate behavior and touching on several occasions while the victim was very young. These incidents reportedly took place in both St. Johns and Duval counties. Saburn now faces charges including lewd and lascivious molestation, lewd and lascivious exhibition, as well as straight-up child abuse. He is currently being held without bond at the Duval County Jail.
I'm Joe Downs.
And I'm Brittany Cooper. In our top story this evening, a Haley man is facing rape and drug trafficking charges after law enforcement safely located a girl who ran away from her Nampa home. According to Haley police, on January 5th, officers respond to Glenbrook Drive in an attempt to find the girl. After finding her, officers learned that 29-year-old Leonel Pena had assisted in picking the girl up and taking her to his home in Haley. Pena was arrested for rape, and the next day, officers then served a search warrant where they found 3 pounds of marijuana, vapes, and several firearms. Police then requested and obtained an arrest warrant for trafficking marijuana and booked Pena into jail. The girl was reunited with her mother after receiving medical care.
This is 80-year-old Kenneth Wayne Segal. He's just been released from prison. Look what it did to him. This is just to inform you that he's a registered sex offender and he's coming to Apache Junction, Arizona. So if you see a motorized rolling bed coming at your kids, just be aware this guy's coming for you.
Bruh, look at this dude. Wait till you see the. No. Look at the top of his head. Look at his lips.
Leads. A man is in custody after a child exploitation investigation in Kosciuszko County.
38-year-old William Coleman turned himself in this week. He faces a level 6 felony charge for possession of child sex abuse material and a misdemeanor charge of voyeurism. According to Indiana State Police, their Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force launched a criminal investigation after receiving tips from the National Center for Missing and a man is in custody after a child exploitation investigation in Kosciuszko County. 38-year-old William Coleman turned himself in this week. He faces a level 6 felony charge for possession of child sex abuse material and a misdemeanor charge of voyeurism. According to Indiana State Police, their Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force launched a criminal investigation after receiving tips from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. After receiving a search warrant, investigators seized electronic devices from Coleman's home, the evidence leading to an arrest warrant issued Wednesday. He then turned himself in the next day at the Kosciuszko County Jail.
Arrested a registered sex offender who previously spent more than 15 years on McNeil Island as a sexually violent predator. Richard Eugene Jackson had admitted to sexually abusing roughly 70 children, and tonight he's back in jail. KOMO's Claire Weber live tonight from the King County Jail Court with his latest allegations. Claire?
And President Jackson waived his first appearance here at the court earlier today after being arrested by Seattle police in the Chinatown International District yesterday. He's accused of having and distributing child sex abuse material just a few months after being released from prior custody. Seattle Police's Internet Crimes Against Children unit has been investigating at least 18 tips accusing Jackson of possessing sexually explicit pictures of children since last summer. While detectives say their investigation uncovered no new evidence of Jackson abusing children, he has 8 prior sex offense convictions, according to the state. These include the sexual assaults and rapes of young boys spanning over decades, which sent Jackson to the Special Commitment Center on McNeil Island in 2003, a facility that houses sexually violent predators. Court documents show Jackson was then moved from McNeil Island to community custody in 2019 before being fully released in March of last year, only a short time before SBD's new investigation into Jackson, leading a judge to keep him behind bars today.
I will note, to add to the state's representations here, if he's off of community custody in March, these allegations begin in July, so it's not like we're talking nearly a year here, we're talking 3 or 4 months.
According to court documents, Jackson was granted custody last year after his sexually violent predator petition was dismissed by the state. That came after an evaluation report of Jackson in January 2025. Today, his bail was set at $750,000. Jackson is expected back in court on Monday. A judge also
Deputies with the Monongalia County Sheriff's Department have arrested a man they say uploaded child pornography onto the internet. Last December, deputies say they received a tip from the Internet Crimes Against Children data portal about sexual abuse material involving children being uploaded into a Dropbox account. Now, law enforcement later traced the account to 24-year-old Nigel McClintock of Morgantown after learning that he had set up the account using a different name. He's been charged with possession and distribution of material depicting minors engaged in sexually explicit conduct.
There is breaking news as we come on the air today. The attorney for the man connected to the disappearance of an Indiana teen, Haley Busby, has confirmed within the last hour the young girl's remains have been found. 39-year-old Thomas Tyler was in court just hours ago. I am Tracy Townsend. We're glad that you are joining us, but we do want to warn you that some of the details we are about to share may be disturbing for some to hear. Thomas was in Franklin County Court and is accused of pandering sexually oriented material involving a minor and tampering with evidence. Indiana officials say Thomas was in the neighborhood where Busby went missing. 10 TV's Lacey Crisp was in court this morning where she talked with Tyler's attorney, and she's live outside the courthouse in downtown Columbus. Lacey.
Well, after court, Tyler Thomas's attorney, Sam Szymanski, confirmed to me that officials in Perry County have recovered what they believe to be Haley Busby's remains. Now, according to court documents, Thomas picked up Haley out of state on January 6th and brought her here to Ohio. Fishers, Indiana police said last night in a news conference that they believe Thomas killed the teen shortly after and that it happened in Hocking County. Now, within the past hour, we talked to the Hocking County Sheriff, who tells us they are still searching that Airbnb where Thomas stayed, looking for evidence. Now, when Columbus police searched Thomas's home here, according to court documents, they found images and videos of Haley in Columbus and on Thomas's computer and phone. He is facing pandering, sexually oriented matter involving a minor and tampering charges. Szymanski explained after court that Thomas willingly turned himself in on Saturday and worked with the FBI and other law enforcement to locate Haley's remains.
The facts. There is a juvenile missing out of Indiana who was last known to be in the company of the defendant. A search warrant was executed at the defendant's home. Digital devices were seized and found to contain child sexual abuse material containing images of the juvenile.
At our client's insistence, we assisted law enforcement Saturday afternoon and later Sunday, and that goal has now been met of bringing complete closure, at least with respect to this stage of the investigation, for everybody involved, but most important, the family of Ms. Busby.
Are you saying she's been recovered?
I'm saying that, yes.
So Thomas is being held here on a $1.5 million bond. Szymanski said in court today that Thomas has no intention of paying that. Charges in Hocking County are expected.
As you walk up.
The trial for Richard Cox, a registered sex offender who's now facing charges for entering a female locker room, is set to start on Monday. Cox, who's a biological male, was allowed to enter these facilities by claiming to be transgender. On Friday, there was a motions hearing to decide if cameras would be allowed in the court, whether the arrest was lawful, and a motion to suppress evidence from the seizure of Cox's cell phone. The Commonwealth is hoping to use evidence from the cell phone, which allegedly showed Cox in possession of child pornography and screenshots highlighting children's classes at various rec centers. This is a reason why the judge said he will not permit cameras inside the courtroom, because there will be testimony from 2 minors. The court did find there was sufficient probable cause to arrest Cox. 1, for giving false information when Cox gave a fake name to officers, and 2nd, for committing a felony at a county facility by being a registered sex offender where children were less than 100 feet away. And the judge said the loitering charge would be for a jury to decide. Cox has filed a motion for self-representation, meaning both Cox and the court-appointed attorney presented arguments and questioned witnesses during the proceedings, oftentimes leading the judge to scold Cox for not following procedure and looks of bewilderment from those testifying. Cox is facing 44 charges, including indecent exposure, indecent liberties with a child, and possession of child pornography. This is a case that had been making headlines and was pretty prolific in the Virginia governor's election. They will now select jury members starting on Monday.
A Baton Rouge man is behind bars accused of sex crimes involving children. The East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office tells us Brian Weaver is charged with first-degree rape of a victim under the age of 13, oral sexual battery, and indecent behavior with juveniles. According to an arrest report, authorities were tipped off to a sex crime involving Weaver and 3 children on Tuesday. Investigators say they learned Weaver engaged in sexual activity with a child with 2 others nearby. He's now booked in the EBR Parish Prison.
Tennessee. A family member's concern led to the arrest of 3 people in Red Bank, including 2 men that are listed on the state's sex offender registry, as well as the Chomet in the middle here, which happens to be the child's guardian. The investigation began last week after a relative reported that a girl had been communicating with 2 adult men who are registered sex offenders, according to a release from the Red Bank Police Department. Investigators say that led them to uncover inappropriate and illegal contact with a child under the age of 13. Authorities say the 2 men, Jeremy Germain Underwood and Gary Walter Witt, are both listed as violent sex offenders on the offender registry there. Investigators determined they had physical contact and communication with the child that violated the law. Investigators also determined that the child's guardian, Monica Jordan, allowed those men to visit as well as stay overnight in her home on several occasions over several months, despite knowing their status on the sex offender registry. All 3 were taken into custody and charged. Monica Jordan is charged with child endangerment and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Jeremy Jermaine Underwood, on the right here, is charged with rape of a child, solicitation of a minor, exploitation of a minor by electronic means, and violation of community supervision. Gary Walter Witt is charged with aggravated sexual battery as well as violation of community supervision.
And in Scioto County, Ohio, now facing charges after deputies say he sexually assaulted a teenager.
Scioto County Sheriff David Thurman says a mother contacted detectives saying her child had been sexually assaulted. Derek Stanley was arrested after deputies say the investigation showed reoccurring sexual assault started when the victim was 13. Stanley is charged with 10 counts of rape.
The Crown wants convicted sexual abuser Michael Zakir deemed a dangerous offender. The 34-year-old has been behind bars for 3.5 years and pleaded guilty in early 2024 to aggravated sexual assault. It was on July 31st, 2022, when provincial police say Zakir, while living in Wasaga Beach, violently sexually assaulted an elderly woman inside her home and left her for dead before taking off in her pickup truck. Police said the woman then crawled to her driveway for help and was airlifted to hospital. She told police she was sexually assaulted and stabbed repeatedly by Zakir, who was arrested days later by police in Bracebridge. Crown attorney Catherine Spencieri told the court Zakir, who has a lengthy criminal record dating back nearly 20 years, has previous convictions for violent crimes, including sexual assault and sexual interference, and should be deemed a dangerous offender because he is a serious risk to harm the public with future crimes of violence. The Crown arguing Zakir, who was diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome, has repeatedly shown he cannot control his sexual impulses, calling Zakir's impulsivity, anger, and inability to overcome his substance abuse and mental health challenges long-standing and deeply entrenched. The Crown is asking Zakir receive an indeterminate sentence, followed by a maximum long-term supervision order of 10 years. Zakir is represented by defense lawyer Jeffrey Fisher. The hearing is scheduled to continue over 6 days for testimony from experts and witnesses between March and June. Mike Arsledy, CTV News.
Myrtle Beach man is now facing 3 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor under the age of 11 and 1 count of obscene exposure of private parts in a lewd and lascivious manner. Authorities say Justin Marcanti committed multiple sexual acts involving a victim who was only 5 years old at the time. The incidents are believed to have occurred at a home near the 6700 block of Jefferson Place in Myrtle Beach.
And the man behind a scheme that sex trafficked and exploited hundreds of women to film pornographic videos was sentenced by a judge today. Michael Pratt will serve 27 years in prison. And our Dominique Lavenier has more on the decision.
After years of waiting, these survivors shared their stories in an emotional day of testimony.
The majority of this, I've been in college.
Reliving some of the most painful moments in their lives.
It felt like all the air got sucked out of the room because it brought the reality that we all know and maybe don't want to acknowledge so much.
In more than 4 hours of testimony, roughly 40 women shared the lifelong pain they've experienced after Michael Pratt, the leader of the Girls Do Porn sex trafficking ring, recruited them to film pornographic videos.
It is a real testament to the power of women to take back their lives.
The government originally recommended Pratt serve a sentence of a little more than 21 years.
Less than 1% of victims of sex trafficking ever get recognized by law enforcement. So we're the lucky ones, and we still had a really devastating once-in-a-lifetime case.
But the judge went above that, sending Pratt to federal prison for 27 years.
When she gave that sentence vindicated us.
The judge also granting the women a copyright for the videos.
They can serve that on legitimate websites to seek to take down those videos.
Pratt used force, deception, and threats to recruit hundreds of young women, most in their late teens, to appear in their first pornographic videos.
Responding to what they believe and what appears to be on the internet as professional, polished modeling or influencing gigs, only for the woman to get there, and that's not at all what it is.
Convincing the girls. He would never post the videos online.
There were minors involved, there were mothers involved, there were teenagers involved.
Meanwhile, he did share the videos on his sites girlsdoporn.com and girlsdotoys.com, garnering millions of views and $7 million in revenue from 2012 to 2019.
At first moment, I thought, this is it. I can't bounce back from this.
While the women say the years of harassment and shame changed their lives permanently.
I'm walking out a free woman and he's walking out in shackles.
They're finally reclaiming their identities publicly.
I'm Dr. Grace Sword.
Put some respect on her name.
Dominique Lavigny, KUSI News.
Police need the public's help in finding the suspect behind the horrific rape of a 14-year-old girl in Manhattan earlier this week. The NYPD is looking to find Jermaine Parham, a 33-year-old identified as the suspect behind the sexual assault that occurred inside a building in Stuyvesant Town, off the corner of First Ave and First Avenue Loop, about 11:42 a.m. on January 29th to be exact. Law enforcement sources said Parham allegedly approached the victim and then proceeded to sexually assault her. He then stole her cell phone and fled the scene on foot in an unknown direction. The incident was reported to the 13th Precinct, and EMS rushed the victim to a local hospital for treatment. Police sources said Saturday that the victim did not know her attacker. Parham is also known to the NYPD with a number of prior arrests on his rap sheet, though police sources didn't provide any specific details about his record. They captured his image from security camera footage at a nearby subway station. Let's get this chomo off the streets.
In 2019,
music teacher. Winnipeg police have charged a music teacher with sexual assault following an investigation involving a school-age student. Standing by live with the details tonight is CTV's John Hendricks. John, what do we know about this teacher?
a former student's parent, who we aren't identifying, says Jed Russell Panganiban taught piano lessons merrily, and CTV News was able to acquire some video of him performing at a recital. This is video taken of Panganiban playing the piano at a recital back in 2019. Winnipeg police started investigating him in July of last year after they say a victim came forward and filed a report. The child told police they were sexually assaulted by him during music lessons at a home located in the 600 block of Nairn Avenue. Police say the alleged assaults took place between January of 2022 and July of 2025. On Tuesday, police arrested Panganiban. The 32-year-old is charged with sexual assault, sexual interference, and invitation to sexual touching.
Sexual assault following an investigation involving a school-age student. Standing by live with the details tonight is CTV's John Hendricks. Winnipeg police have charged a music teacher with sexual assault following an investigation involving a school-age student. Standing by live with the details tonight is CTV's John Hendricks. John, what do we know about this teacher?
A former student's parent, who we aren't identifying, says Jed Russell Panganiban taught piano lessons merrily, and CTV News was able to acquire some video of him performing at a recital. This is video taken of Panganiban playing the piano at a recital back in 2019. Winnipeg police started investigating him in July of last year after they say a victim came forward and filed a report. The child told police they were sexually assaulted by him during music lessons at a home located in the 600 block of Nairn Avenue. Police say the alleged assaults took place between January of 2022 and July of 2025. On Tuesday, police arrested Panganiban. The 32-year-old is charged with sexual assault, sexual interference, and invitation to sexual touching. He was released from custody. CTV News attempted to contact Panganiban. We have not yet heard back from him.
Keeping an eye on Westmoreland County tonight, a 21-year-old man is accused of sexually assaulting a teenage girl. Devanier Morris is accused of pressuring a 13-year-old to drink alcohol and have sex while threatening her with a gun. Police say the girl told them the two met on Snapchat.
Also in Westmoreland County, an Allegheny Township man is accused of assaulting a 6-year-old girl he was babysitting, then trying to buy that 6-year-old girl from her mother. Krista Rose has the details.
This is 44-year-old Theodore McGee, who's facing multiple charges after he allegedly tried to purchase a 6-year-old child for $5,000 from her mother. Allegheny Township Police Chief Daniel Unkefer says that they were alerted to the situation by the victim's mother.
That's got to be a troubling call to get. Well, any sexual assault, male, female, older or younger, is always concerning. The fact that this case involved a minor juvenile, it was troubling to begin with.
McGee was known to the 6-year-old girl and is said to be a family friend. The little girl told police that McGee touched her as the two slept on an air mattress together. McGee denied assaulting the girl, saying that he only ever hugged her, but police say he showed them text messages in which he referred to the victim as his girlfriend. After that, police obtained a warrant to search McGee's phone, where investigators found photos and videos of the girl. Chief Unkefer says he's glad that they were able to make an arrest swiftly.
These cases sometimes can be long and drawn out, as this case was. There was a lot of things for us to do to get to that finish line of a set of charges. Happily, we did, and I'm pleased that the defendant in this case is currently incarcerated in Westmoreland County Jail.
Now, as the chief said, McGee is being held in the Westmoreland County Prison, and he is being held without bail. Reporting in Allegheny Township, Westmoreland County, Krista Rose, KDKA TV News.
It happens more than anybody knows, and usually it's with
a woman who survived years of sexual abuse at the hands of a man now in prison is using her voice to help others. April is National Sexual Assault Awareness Month, but a woman with ties to the Valley is speaking out now, hoping her story will encourage and support others.
Senior reporter Jerry Ricciuti sat down with a woman and shared that story of her journey from victim to survivor.
For the victims of Robert Tullio, the horror they endured began when they were young children.
From the time I was about 6 to the time I was about 14.
For our purposes, we'll refer to our survivor as HR, who's now in her 30s. Tullio's been in prison the last 2 years, serving a 44-year sentence. HR tells me she wants to serve now as a voice for others.
And to be an advocate for those who have fought this battle and have become a survivor of sexual assault or domestic violence.
HR says Tullio groomed his victims, but also threatened and scared them.
And so you just did what you were told, and again, you thought it was normal.
Even as she grew older, she realized the assaults were far from normal, but kept to herself out of fear for her family until another victim came forward.
There was a little bit of guilt that I wish I would have stood up back then so she didn't go through what she did.
Tullio was eventually arrested in 2022 and was tried a year and a half later, even testifying in his own defense. But jurors needed only a couple hours to convict him on multiple counts of rape and other charges. HR says the case reopened old wounds, but the verdict helped heal them. Now she openly encourages others in her position to come forward.
There's so much out there to help with all of that pain and that trauma and that recovering and, becoming from a victim to a survivor.
As for Tullio, who HR says is getting what he deserves, he won't be eligible for parole for another 41 years. These days, she wears a special pin in honor of survivors and sports a tattoo on her arm with the words "strong enough," wanting others to know they are not alone. Jerry Ricciuti, WKBN 27 First News.
Good evening. Police say 8th graders at a Las Vegas private school are seen on video committing a brutal sexual assault against another student. And it's a very disturbing story. This is 8 News Now at 6. I'm Denise Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. Now, we want to warn you, this is a story which is very sensitive and graphic. 8 News Now investigator Vanessa Murphy piecing it all together.
Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Vaughn Griffith, one of 4 8th graders who Metro Police say took part in the graphic and violent sexual assault of another student. The boys were on a field trip to Costa Rica last April through the Alexander Dawson School, a Las Vegas private school where tuition costs more than $30,000.
Sir, what's your true full name? Vaughn Kendall Griffith.
Griffith, just 15, now charged as an adult for possession of visual presentation depicting sexual conduct of a child. A judge moving him from the juvenile system, calling the crime heinous and egregious and pointing to the safety of the community, while also acknowledging Griffith's upbringing and background as a class president and golf champ. The video is so graphic, the court sealed it. But police described the attack in this arrest report we obtained for more than 2 minutes. The victim screaming and crying as the boys laughed at him, threatened him, and assaulted him. Police say Griffith recorded the video and kept it in his Snapchat account. His defense attorney points to a disparate treatment between how he's treated compared to the other boys, while the Clark County District Attorney's Office is not responding to our inquiry about whether they face charges. Attorneys for the victim say they are confident the system will render justice for him. We also reached out to the Alexander Dawson School, which said in a statement, in part, the school was made aware of serious allegations regarding male middle school students while in their hotel rooms during a class field trip. They take such allegations incredibly seriously and promptly reported them to law enforcement. Police say the victim's mother told the principal, who called police last May. Then in January, a grand jury indicted Griffith. We have not named the other teens believed to be involved because it appears they are not charged in adult court. Griffith pleaded not guilty and is expected back in court in June. Records show he is no longer in custody, but he has many restrictions after a family member posted $20,000 bail.
Police say an Illinois man used artificial intelligence to create pornographic images of a lesbian teenager. Well, tonight, prosecutors are using a new charge against the man in a test for state courts. 12 News' Nick Boers in Waukesha County.
It's a law that's barely been on the books a year, but prosecutors are using it against a 20-year-old man accused of using AI to virtually undress a 15-year-old girl he knew. As much as AI is heralded for its potential in medical research and many other fields, there is also a dark side. In 2024, Wisconsin became one of 45 states that criminalize AI-generated child pornography. Aidan Brewis of Illinois is now charged with 3 counts of possession of virtual child pornography after his girlfriend found it on his phone and reported him. Prosecutors say he manipulated Instagram photos of a 15-year-old Waukesha County girl using AI to depict her naked.
When I first heard about it becoming a law, it struck me that this is unconstitutional.
Criminal defense attorney Anthony Cotton isn't representing Brewis, but has another client facing the same charge.
What if you're a talented artist and you draw a picture that's very good, that maybe looks like it's a child? They could never criminalize you for drawing a picture, but somehow it becomes a 3-year mandatory minimum felony because a computer does it? No way.
The site Brewis is accused of using specifically states, quote, you can't use others' photos without their consent or if they are minors, and, quote, you are solely responsible for the content you generate. Still, Cotton says that shouldn't clear them of responsibility.
Why the hell aren't they prosecuting the companies that create the programs that do it? Like, shut this down and go after the companies creating AI programs that can produce this disgusting content.
I did speak with Brewis's attorney, Jonathan Lavoie, this afternoon, but he said he couldn't comment on the active case.
Justin Michael Spradling, 40-year-old, was taken into custody on January 20th by detectives with the Special Victims Unit. He faces several felony charges, including failing to report a new address, being present near a child-related location, violating sex offender residency requirements, as well as violating his own probation. Spradling had been on the lam since October 25th, when he was seen in the parking lot of a church that also operates as a child care center. Despite ongoing efforts by the coppers to locate him, he evaded arrest until January 20th. Well, he's now being held at the Iredell County Detention Center under a $250,000 secured bond. During the investigation, detectives determined that 2 other people knowingly helped him, despite being aware of his outstanding warrants, as well as his sex offender registration status. We also have here Stephanie Darlene Cruz and Daniel Lee Busk. Cruz and Busk, both of Statesville, were arrested and charged with felony offenses for assisting in a sex offender's failure to comply with the law. Cruz was found to be carrying a concealed handgun at the time of her arrest. She's additionally charged with carrying a concealed weapon, and she received an $8,000 secured bond. Busk over here on the right was issued a $5,000 secured bond.
A Rupert man is behind bars for allegedly exploitation of a child. Now, the Idaho Internet Crimes Against Children Unit arrested 33-year-old Luis Hurtado on 2 counts of distribution of child sexual exploitation material. Hurtado's bond is set at $250,000. The ICAC unit was assisted by the Cassia County Sheriff's Office, Twin Falls County Sheriff's Office, Blaine County Sheriff's Office, Rupert Police Department, and Homeland Security investigations.
A Toronto man has pleaded guilty in the United States to sexually exploiting more than 100 children on social media after previously being sentenced for similar crimes in Canada. In a release on Friday, the United States Justice Department said 40-year-old Ramanan Pathmanathan pleaded guilty to the production of child sexual abuse materials and also to coercion and enticement of a minor. The department said Pathmanathan had been arrested on December 3rd of 25 after being temporarily surrendered to the United States. For years, while hiding in another country behind a fabricated online persona, he used manipulation, threats, and fear to coerce unsuspecting juveniles into producing and engaging in sexually explicit acts, which robbed them of their innocence. The United States Justice Department said the 40-year-old admitted to a plea agreement that he sexually exploited more than 100 girls by posing as an American teenage boy for 7 years, up until he was arrested in Canada by Toronto police in 21. At the time, Toronto police had charged Pathmanathan with 93 offenses, including 18 counts of child rearing, 9 counts of invitation to sexual touching, and 10 counts of making child sexually abusive materials. He pled guilty to those offenses in 22 and was sentenced to 12 years in prison in the Canadian justice system. Pathmanathan's victims in the United States were located all over the country and ranged in age from 11 years old up to 17. They added that while video chatting with the victims, he would persuade and coerce them to engage in sexually explicit acts. Without their knowledge or consent, he would screen record them while they did so. When the children refused to engage in further sexually explicit conduct, Pathmanathan then further exploited them by threatening to distribute the recorded videos to their family and their friends. That's right, sextortion. He is facing a maximum penalty of life in prison here in the U.S., and he's scheduled to be sentenced this coming May the 27th.
Expert is behind bars after Dilley's first instance court sentenced him to 20 years jail for the sexual abuse of minor. Robert Trott was found guilty of sexually abusing a girl under 12 years old. The legal firm representing the victim, Jus Juridicus Social, welcomed the court's verdict, saying the sentence represents a positive demonstration of the capacity of Timor-Leste's justice system. The case was initially reported to police in Australia. Both the defendant and the prosecution appealed after a shorter sentence was handed down last year. The Court of Appeals ordered the reprisal proceedings, and Trott was found guilty of 7 counts of aggravated sexual abuse of a minor and 1 count of ill treatment of minors. Fernanda Maria Judas Magno, RCCL World News.
Thank you. A local man is headed to prison for the rape of an underage girl. A Jerome County District Court judge sentenced 49-year-old Shane Shockey to unified 20-year prison term with 5 years fixed on one count of rape in which the victim was under 16 and the perpetrator was 18 or older, according to sentencing documents. Affidavits from the sheriff's office state that Shane and his son Zachary sexually abused the same girl for several years. Zachary is due for a jury trial on February 10th. Shane also has cases in Blaine, Twin Falls, and Ada counties. Prosecutor Sam Buse said that the Blaine County case will be dismissed based on the Jerome sentencing, while the cases in Ada and Twin Falls counties are still pending.
First at 5, a 19-year-old man convicted of kidnapping and raping multiple women with the aid of social media and dating apps was sentenced to prison.
Fox 12's McKenna Marks was in the courtroom and joins us live after speaking with the prosecutor on this case. McKenna, what did she tell you?
Yeah, Pete, Nora, well, Damani Anderson was sentenced to 45 years in prison today. Now, before the judge handed out his sentence, the court also heard from multiple victims. And like you said, I was able to speak to the prosecutor on this case, and she tells me if it wasn't for the bravery of these victims, Anderson likely wouldn't have received such a lengthy sentence.
You're going to prison for a very long time.
Over a year and a half after he was arrested on rape and kidnapping charges, 19-year-old Damani Anderson was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Anderson was arrested in August of 2024, and the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office says multiple adult and juvenile women, including a 13-year-old, came forward.
We shouldn't let ourselves get too far removed from the fact that these are real things that happen to real people. And this case begs for that reminder. That very real, very terrifying things happen to very young people at the hands of Damani Anderson.
Police say Anderson would find his victims on social media or dating apps and convince them to meet him in a secluded area. Then, police say Anderson would hold his victims at gunpoint before assaulting them.
I am so sorry this happened to you.
Prosecutor Robin Skarstad says it's because of the victims that came forward that the Portland community is now a little safer.
Because this was an individual who was on a path of reoffending. To my assessment, his attacks were getting more violent, and the fact that they were willing to come forward at great personal cost to themselves to keep the rest of the community safe is really meaningful.
Anderson was facing more than 40 charges connected to 5 different rape cases. Last week, he pleaded guilty to 12 charges.
As to count 1, then, in case number 24 CR 41664, which charges you with the crime of rape in the first degree with a firearm, how do you wish to plead? Guilty. As to count 4, then, in the same case, which charges you with the crime of kidnapping in the first degree with a firearm, how do you wish to plead? Guilty.
In court on Thursday, many of Anderson's victims shared their impact statements with the judge, detailing how their lives have changed since they were attacked, including one of the victims' mothers.
This is not something that heals. It is not something that fades with time. This damage and the discomfort she will always feel will move into every relationship we will ever have.
And Skarstad says it's thanks to the victims who came forward that justice was served.
These victims who came today to send that message about this is what coming forward looks like, that you can get justice, if not relief, is a message that I hope will encourage others to do that and continue to make our environment safer.
Anderson was also required to register as a sex offender and also received a sentence of 20 years of post-prison supervision.
We'll head over to Lake County, Illinois. A Glenville man has been charged with indecent solicitation of a child after an undercover operation. This chomo here, 65-year-old James W. Ropa of Glenville, got horny one evening and decided he was going to go get another 13-year-old boy, which it wasn't his first. The individual was, in fact, an undercover detective this time. It was part of an operation between the Lake County Sheriff's Office and the United States NCIS. Ropa asked to meet the boy later that evening when his parents weren't home and indicated he wanted to engage in sexual acts with him. Ropa was arrested when he arrived at the supposed boy's home in Lake County. He's been charged with indecent solicitation of a child, solicitation to meet a child, traveling to meet a minor, as well as grooming. Ropa will remain in jail until his next court hearing on February 18th. See ya, chomo.
So we're going to continue to investigate. We will add additional charges as necessary. We will make sure we send a message again. Stay away from our women and children. We also have two child pornography cases, two takedowns to talk about today. One, Lucas Jose Harayez, here in the country on a visa. He's the owner of Lala Restaurant in St. Petersburg, charged with 18 counts of child pornography. There's probably more to come. He's going to do a lot of time. We also have Michael Yuntz, charged with 9 counts of possession of child pornography and 1 count of promotion of a sexual performance of a minor. He's looking at decades behind bars. Again, not enough time. I want to thank FDLE, HSI, and all of our law enforcement partners for working together to get these guys off the streets. Finally, we've been announcing more charges on the case of Mr. Holmgren. I get that right, Rita? Holmberg. This is the individual that we recently announced we will be seeking the death penalty on. The depravity that describes this situation is like nothing we've ever seen before. To sum it all up, all the counts included, and we're still not done going through evidence. This individual, as a reminder, sexually abused multiple children and videotaped most of it, if not all of it. We're looking at 14 life sentences there, 7 death sentences, and over 2,355 years in prison. And people ask, why do you list all this out? Isn't one death sentence or one life sentence enough? It is not. We have to explain to the public how serious this is. Every single count, every single offense, and the punishment that is due. So we know when it comes to death penalty of a child predator, we're going to have to go up and hopefully get the United States Supreme Court to revisit this issue. We feel pretty confident that we're right on the law and that they will indeed revisit. We want to levy the ultimate form of punishment when it comes to this most heinous offense.
When a child experiences trauma, they can be stripped of their ability to imagine. But imagination is colours. All the colours. Imagination is freedom. And whatever you want it to be. But a child without imagination is not a child at all. Will you help defend our right to imagine?
Welcome to the hit list. You can't escape. Your face on the news. Don't mess with fate. Locked up in prison. Wood chipper running hot. Police on a mission. Hope you don't get caught. Silver bracelets tight. Get arrested tonight. In this endless fight. Can't hide from the light. Lies and deception. Caught in the storm. Future in question. Nowhere left to run. Silver bracelets tight. Get arrested tonight. In this endless fight. Can't hide from the light. The choices are made. Heading one way. No turning back. This price to pay. Lies and deception, caught in the storm. Future in question, nowhere left to run. Silver bracelets tight, get arrested tonight. In this endless
Say, excuse me, Judge. How many times do I need to show these videos until people become aware?
Multiple times.
One for a rainbow, one for Amanda.
Who you playing with, sweetie?
Amanda.
Oh, who are you?
I'm Amanda. I'm 6, and I love unicorns.
Sexual predators are seeking kids online.
We don't know Amanda.
Learn how to report abuse at end-violence.org/protect.
Now get in there!